Alright, in this video I'm going to tell you the steps to buying your first home. The process is complicated and sometimes frustrating, but if you know ahead of time how to get through it, you can make it less painful. Especially if you have a great agent working with you. From house searching to securing a loan to the accepted offer and negotiation process, I cover it all here. You'll want to stick around until the end where I go over the closing process and getting the keys. Let's talk about it and let's get after it. Hey, if you're new to this channel, I talk about living in Los Angeles and what it's like to work and play here. I'm also a local realtor here and cover real estate topics. If you're thinking about moving here or you have questions about real estate, please reach out. Make sure you tap that subscribe button and click that little bell so you're notified every time I do a new video. Okay, so you're looking to buy your first home. That's amazing. Real estate is a fantastic investment. I bought my home in 2017 and I'll go over some of the numbers with you on that. So what's the process like of buying a home? Well, of course, you see listings on Redfin and Zillow. The first step I tell people about is getting pre-approved for a loan. Most people don't have all the cash they need for a home, so they'll need a loan. And it's best to talk to a lender first to find out how much you're qualified for. With that information in hand, you can work with a real estate agent to submit offers to sellers. You definitely want to make sure you know how much you can spend so you don't waste your time looking at homes outside your price range. Of course, it almost goes without saying, you should know what criteria you're looking for, like number of bedrooms and bathrooms, neighborhood, lot size, proximity to schools and grocery stores. Is this property just for you or for you and your family of 4 and 2 dogs? A lot of people ask me if there's a difference between what's on the MLS, the multiple listing service, versus sites like Redfin and Zillow or Realtor.com. So all those other sites syndicate the MLS. So almost everything on the MLS is also on those sites. A few things you won't see are what's called coming soon listings. Realtors can post their listings before they're active, so that's another thing to ask your realtor if they see any coming soon listings that match your criteria. People often ask me how much they should put down as a down payment. And I say if you put down 20%, that'll save you the most money in the long term. Because if you put down less than 20%, you'll need to pay what's called mortgage insurance, basically protecting you from defaulting on the loan. However, if you can't afford 20%, that's okay. Conventional loans can have anywhere from 5% and up. FHA loans have lower credit and down payment requirements, but they're just not as competitive, especially in this hot market. Then the lender will want to see 1 to 2 years of your tax returns, your credit report, bank statements, pay stubs, cash reserves, and any other assets or liabilities. The lender will be able to tell you how much you'll be paying per month for a mortgage payment, and that will generally include taxes and insurance, and also an HOA fee if you're buying a condo. Offers can either be accepted, countered, or rejected. Usually a house will be on the market for a couple of weeks and the seller will review all the offers on a given date. In this market, however, homes are sometimes on the market for just a few days. When you're bidding on a house, remember that an extra $10,000 in the purchase price will only be about an extra $55 a month on your mortgage. So keep that in mind. And there's a tool you can use called an escalation clause when you submit an offer on a house. It's pretty common these days. Basically, you say something like, oh, you'll pay $5,000 over the highest amount up to a certain amount. $5,000 over the highest offer up to a certain amount. If an offer is accepted, you submit what's called an earnest money deposit. That's usually 3% of the purchase price here in Los Angeles. It's a good faith gesture to show that you're serious about purchasing. It counts towards your down payment and closing costs, so it's not an extra fee, just an initial payment. All the money and documents are handled by a third party called the escrow company, which is generally chosen by the seller. The agents and lender will be communicating with escrow to make sure everything is in order. Next up come the inspections and appraisal. Your lender will send out an appraiser to determine how much the home is worth. They'll look at most recently sold homes in the area. So I bought a 2-bedroom condo in Washington, D.C. in 2017, and it sold and appraised for $349,000. Now, inspections are something to really pay attention to. The seller has to disclose to the buyers if there's anything wrong with the house that they know of. It's also important to get a sewer line inspection and a termite inspection, especially in this area. If there are any issues that come up, that's a point of negotiation. Some people don't realize, but everything is negotiable in a real estate transaction. So if the washer needs repair, for example, either the seller can pay for a repair or a new unit, or give the credit to the buyer towards their closing costs. When I was in contract with my condo, the inspector noticed that the windows were pretty old, so I negotiated to have the seller replace all the windows. And then the dryer was also having issues venting, so the seller replaced the washer and dryer with new units, including a ventless dryer. The inspection and appraisal are also called contingencies. That means if the house doesn't appraise for the full value of the contract price, or if the inspections reveal some serious issues with the house, the buyer can still back out of the contract. It's been crazy nowadays, though, because a lot of times the buyer will even waive some of these contingencies to expedite the deal and present a more attractive offer. This can be tempting, but having those contingencies in place can really protect you as a buyer as well. If you have more questions about that, feel free to reach out. Once the appraisal comes through, the loan can get fully approved. Generally, the escrow process takes 30 to 60 days, mostly waiting on underwriting for the loan. If repairs need to be made, this also generally happens during the escrow process. Unfortunately, my agent didn't do the best job representing me, so I had to bring a lawyer to the closing table to sort out all the negotiations. This is pretty rare. Basically, this is why I decided to become a realtor. I wanted to be a fierce advocate for my clients. On that note, it's also a good idea to have the seller pay for a 1-year home warranty to cover any appliances or systems that may fail that didn't show up in the inspection. Your closing costs generally come out to about 1% of the purchase price. So a $400,000 home will have about $4,000 in closing costs. This includes title and escrow fees and insurance, as well as a few other items. After the loan is funded and escrow closes, you get the keys from the title company. Welcome home. People ask me when the best time is to buy a house. Well, the best time is whenever you can. Homes are a fantastic investment. Now, generally the market is hotter in the summer and cooler in the winter. So in the summer, more people list their homes and more people are looking. And it's just the opposite in the winter. So you can actually find some good deals in the winter if you're not in a hurry. The summer will have more options and also more competition. In terms of this market specifically, it's still super tough for buyers right now. There are many offers on every home, and a lot of them are cash, which is really impossible to compete with. Experts suggest that by spring 2022, the market may shift more in buyers' favor. So that's a quick overview of the home buying process and some of the key steps. There's a lot more to it, but that should answer some of the initial questions you might have. You always hear people's horror stories about buying homes, and it really shouldn't be like that. Make sure you do your research on your realtor before you pick one. Unfortunately, the barrier to entry is so low for real estate that there's a lot of folks out there not acting professionally or in your best interest. More content coming out every week. Please let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're thinking about moving to Los Angeles or you have questions about real estate, please reach out. I'll continue doing lots of videos, so make sure to subscribe and hit that like button so you know every time a new video is coming out.